My name's Jacob, and this is my Ancient Mythology Honors Project. I decided to do the Cooking with Ovid project, so that required that I prepare a meal with relation to Ovid's Metamorphoses, or ancient Rome in general. This video documents the process and the results, and I hope you enjoy. Like the majority of our projects, this one started on ChatGPT. We'd spent a lot of time in our class learning how to properly prompt ChatGPT, so I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted to say. I wanted something authentically Roman, something I could easily make, and something I could relate to Ovid's Metamorphoses. Ovid's pretty gruesome, so I had no idea what they were going to give me. They gave me an error? But that wasn't going to stop me. I just gave it another try, and lo and behold, there it goes. So ChatGPT gave me a lot of options with meat, because apparently Romans love their gamey meat, but I'm not trying to do all that, so I opted for something more simple. A cheesecake. But not just any cheesecake. This cheesecake was going to include edible flowers to represent the story of Narcissus and his transformation into a flower. Mirroring what ChatGPT said, this dessert would mimic Narcissus's sweet and delicate nature and his beautiful appearance, with the edible flowers referencing his metamorphosis. I was set on this idea because making a cheesecake can't be that hard, right? A quick look over the ingredients and instructions showed me otherwise. Some of you might think, dude, this looks easy, but guys, I'm lazy. Oh yeah. Now, I would have loved to make a cheesecake from scratch, but I'm not a fantastic cook, and also, our horribly designed and dysfunctional kitchen doesn't help at all. So with that all said, let's actually get to the cooking. With this being a no-bake cheesecake, I only required sugar, butter, milk, and the mixes they provided. Where the Ovidian flair came from were these rose petals that I bought. This would hopefully give the cheesecake a floral taste in homage to the story. The internet told me that while rose petals are safe to eat, the real Narcissus flowers are actually toxic, so I had to avoid those. So I started by putting the provided crust packet into the bowl, and then combining that with a lot of sugar and melted butter. And here's the strange mug that I decided to melt butter in. An easy 30 seconds or so did the trick, a little too much I think, it was a little bubbly. And with that I began mixing, but the longer I mixed I was wondering how this was gonna stick to the edges of the pan that I had. Sure smelled great though. Maybe Narcissus smelled good too? The next step was putting all of the crust into the pan and then pressing it against the walls with my fingers so that it would stick. I had a pretty tough time doing this because the crust wasn't very sticky, but I think it turned out alright. So with that it was on to the next step, which was making the filling. Like before, I started with that pre-mixed filling and then I mixed in 1.5 cups of milk. I noticed the cheesecake seemed to lack any real kind of cheese, so the Romans would probably be pretty pissed at me. They were big fans of cheese, which is partly why I chose to do a cheesecake. I then used a hand mixer to beat the mixture for about 3 minutes or so. And then came the most important part, the flowers. The rose had a pretty strong aroma, so I was hoping that would reflect in the taste. I then used the hand mixer again to incorporate everything nicely. Then it was finally time to put the cheesecake filling in with the crust. But wait, because I don't want to reveal the end product yet before I tell the story of Narcissus. Once, in the shadowed woods of ancient Greece, there lived a mountain nymph named Echo. She was lovely, with a voice like a song, except for one cruel curse. Because she once distracted Juno with endless chatter to protect her fellow nymphs, Echo was punished. She could no longer speak her own thoughts, only repeating the last words she'd heard. One day, wandering the forest, Echo saw a beautiful young man, Narcissus. He was so striking that every creature, man or woman who laid eyes on him fell hopelessly in love. But Narcissus had no heart for anyone but himself. Echo followed him silently, desperate to call out, yet unable to say anything first. At last, Narcissus called, "Is anyone here?" And Echo, heart-pounding, replied, "Here!" He looked around, puzzled. "Come to me! Come to me!" she cried, stepping from the trees with arms wide. But when she rushed to embrace him, he pushed her away, cold and unmoved. Humiliated, Echo fled into the woods, her body wasting away with sorrow until only her voice remained, haunting valleys and caves with repeated words. As for Narcissus, the gods did not let his cruelty go unpunished. One day he came upon a still pool, clear as glass, and bent to drink. There he saw his own reflection and fell in love. He stayed, gazing endlessly at the beautiful face in the water, not knowing it was his own. Unable to have the object of his desire, he slowly withered away, just like Echo had. In the end, the flowers that now bear his name, Narcissus, grew where his body had been. And Echo, she still lingers, answering the voices of those who call in the mountains. Alright, now it's time for the cake reveal. So, drumroll, and... I promise it looks better with the topping. At this point, it was time for the taste test, and I gathered a few of my friends to give it a try. They said it was good, but I don't know if I trust that pained face, especially this one. Was it really that bad? I personally enjoyed my ugly little piece, and it filled me with thoughts of Roman myth and grandeur. I call that a success. And with that, this video is concluded, and I thank you guys for watching. See you next time.